Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to In.The.News. Live news and commentary from around the world by your host, Holy Joe Rock and Roll.
Welcome everybody to In the News. I'm your host, Holy Joe Rock and Roll, and today we are going to discuss the third GOP debate, which was held in Colorado and hosted by CNBC. Now, I'm going to work my way from the outside of this photo inward and tell you what I thought. So let's start with Rand Paul. I thought he did okay, but he did not get a lot of airtime. But when he spoke, it was not that impressive. I mean, audit the Fed was one of his points. Medicare is leading you to socialism. That's what Ronald Reagan believed when Medicare was passed. Okay, and his plan to fix Medicare and Social Security is to raise the age of eligibility and also means test. Means test means that if you make too much money, you don't get any benefits. All right, so that was Rand Paul. His close was a little bit weak also, not a very strong close. It was okay. Rand Paul, just drop out, man. Let's just drop out. On the other side, we got Kasich, John Kasich, okay, governor of Ohio. Still talking about this broken record about how he's the only one on the stage who balanced the budget. Again, remember that was Newt Gingrich's strategy. It didn't work. I'm just saying, look, I'm not discounting the man. He's got a lot of experience, and I know he could do the deal, but he's just not catching on. You're not getting traction, John. I'm sorry. Look, as I said in the last video, I think he would be great as part of the cabinet, let's say budget director, or just somebody involved in there hammering on Congress to, zero baseline the budgets and do what you did last time. You don't need to be president to do what you did last time. You could be invited in to spearhead the effort to balance the budget, and you could do it probably in less than 2 budget cycles, okay? He definitely is anti-drug, which I hope you agree with that, which is fine. College costs, he said that, he had some good ideas about reducing college costs, right? His strong close, bottom up, was a pretty good close. He closed strong. So I'll give him a point for that. But John, just drop out. You and Rand Paul just drop out, okay? Back to the other side, we've got Christy. I think he did well. He spoke well. He was strong. He talked about Social Security again. He talked about the executives and the people involved in General Motors. They should go to jail. The ones that were involved in this faulty switch. Question posed by Jim Cramer. Mad money. Christy, you might not make it into the White House, but why don't we put you in as the Attorney General, right? Why don't you take that role and start prosecuting, looking into the bankers, General Motors, and any of these big companies, too big to fail. Look into these guys that have done bad deals and have really hurt a lot of people. That would be a good spot for you. You are a prosecutor. You have the experience. You have the energy. And I think that would be a good role for you. And prosecute Hillary Clinton for lying to the American people. Okay? Jeb Bush mentioned fantasy football, and Christy just hammered him on that because it was so stupid. How it was a serious debate. We got $19 trillion in debt, and you're talking about fantasy football, which was a good point. He also mentioned, with something I didn't know, state with the third most solar power is New Jersey. Obviously, California and Arizona are easy to guess at being in the top two, but New Jersey is third, and it's because of sound government policies to let the private sector do its thing. So, Christy, good close, and basically stop sending more money to the government. But he also wants to increase the age of retirement and for Social Security and for entitlements, which I can agree with increasing the age slowly, like they said, 1 month per year. That's fine. Okay, Huckabee on the other side. Mike Huckabee, he had a good blimp analogy. This blimp in, where was it, in New Jersey, I guess, full of hot air, bag of gas, he called it. Really good analogy there, got some laughs, but it really was a good analogy about the government. They tried to bait him against Donald Trump, saying, did they trust him to have the moral, did Mike Huckabee believe that Donald Trump had the moral authority? And come on. Luckily, he He totally just told these guys to F off in his own way, and he's wearing a Trump tie. So that was a good win for Trump, and a good, I don't know, maybe Huckabee's looking to be VP, but he played it well. He didn't attack Trump. So Huckabee, you probably should just drop out. Come on, man. Drop out and give your evangelical support to Trump, okay? The healthcare crisis, he talked about the healthcare crisis. This is Huckabee, and he talked about the way to solve the Medicaid problem is to go after these four major causes of the big expenses, which is Alzheimer's, in his opinion, Alzheimer's, diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. If we could solve those four, you could save trillions of dollars. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think in another speech he talked about there should be, maybe you set up $100 billion fund to for the person who solves his diseases, right? And that's like a Project X or something. That's a great idea. Good ideas. Strong clothes. His clothes was strong. I liked it. Huckabee, I like you. You're like a good old boy that I want to have a beer with, but it's just not happening, bro. It's not happening. You don't have the traction. Now, back on the other side, we're looking at Ted Cruz. Okay. Ted, the voice, man. You got a little bit stronger on the voice, a little bit more baritone, but I still cannot stand your voice, okay? You also want to audit the Fed. That's fine. You came on strong. The one thing about Ted Cruz is that, he continues to talk about, I'm the one fighting the battles. I'm the one who fought for, okay, you fought all these battles, Ted, but you lost. What does that say about your leadership? What does it say about your leadership that you couldn't get it done? Nobody would follow you. Maybe it's the voice. God. I don't know, man. People want to say Ted Cruz would be a good candidate for VP because he might bring in, Texas, Arizona. He's Hispanic. I don't know. How does he sound in Spanish? Have you guys heard him speak Spanish? Ted, look, you're off on the side of the wings, man. It's not going to work. Jeb Bush. Okay. Tax plan. He talked about a tax plan. He forgot, and they asked him, why in his tax plan is he treating earned income from work at a higher rate than investment income? And he failed to mention that, look, in probably 99% of investment income has already been taxed, right? If you earn money from a job, you're taxed on it, and then you invest that money, and you're going to get taxed on whatever you earn on that, and you can possibly lose everything. So it should be taxed less. It's all at risk, right? He claimed that colleges in Florida have the lowest cost in the USA, but I did a Google search afterwards asking for what are the cheapest in-state tuition colleges, and there was no colleges from Florida. Talking about reforming Social Security and Medicare, keep your HSA plan. Dude, nobody cares. Honestly, Jeb, you're fantasy football. You're 7-0 in fantasy football. Who the hell cares? You're trying to be a real person. Okay, I got that. You are a real person. You're a nice dude. We're tired of the Bushes, man. Just like we're tired of the Clintons. You're gonna have to go, and you're not bringing the game. Okay, your close was weak. Also, Jeb, you're talking about I'm going to change the culture. It was a weak close, and you fumbled. You had some tells. You touched your nose or whatever, dude. You fumbled. No, Jeb is going to have to get cut. All right, flip to the other side. Carly Fiorina. Okay, she kept saying the big, the powerful, the wealthy, and the well-connected. Okay, nice pre-planned, soundbite. But it is true, big government is in bed with the big, the powerful, the wealthy, and the well-connected, and they're in cahoots, and they have been for years. And NAFTA was part of it, and this Pacific Trade PPT is another one, because who's going to make them, make out is the big, the powerful, the well-connected, and the wealthy. She did bust on Hillary, and she again mentioned, year after year, we talk about the same problems. We all agree on the solution, but nothing gets done. So she did a lot better in this debate. She didn't come off as a bitch in this debate. She actually came across more competent and just more even spoken, right? And she wasn't all angry. She was more even spoken but strong. That's what I'm talking about, Carly. That's what I'm talking about. That you didn't look like a bitch in this debate. You looked strong without being a bitch. So I don't know, you listened to my last video, which I'll have a link down below for the second debate where I mentioned that. So kudos to Carly for that. But no knockout blows. It seemed all well scripted and canned. There was no home run or anything like that. So I don't know what to say. But it was good. You did a good job. And your close. How about your close with the good close? The closing, of course, a canned speech, but it was a good close. Now, other side, we got Marco Rubio. Strong showing. When, asked about his Senate absences, right? And Rubio did really good when he talked about the mainstream media being the super PAC for the Democrats. Finally, somebody came out and said what I was thinking after this latest Hillary Clinton Benghazi hearing. I mean, Hillary was proven to be a goddamn liar. She lied about Benghazi. We got the emails that show that she knew that this attack on the embassy in Benghazi was an organized Al-Qaeda related group that did it. Had nothing to do with any stupid ass video. And that is really dishonest and sad that Hillary Clinton and everybody on this Obama cabinet lied to the mothers and fathers of these people who got killed in Benghazi. And Rubio correctly points out that the mainstream media is the greatest super PAC for the Democrats, because what did they do all week after that? Said that this was Hillary's best work yet, that this proves that she's going to win the nomination. You got to be kidding me. The H-1B1 visa thing came up, and listen, America, H-1B visa is a way to lower wages. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I sat next to Chinese, Indian, Bangladesh motherfuckers in Silicon Valley, and they drove my wages down, okay? I made more money years earlier, and I was forced to take this job just so I could work, and I made less money, and I'm smarter and more wiser, more experienced than ever before. So H-1B1 visas, it's a crock of shit. It is a way for big corporations like Google and Facebook to lower wages. Any dickhead can learn how to code. Okay? Anyone. And they should train people who have the aptitude here, American citizens, to take these jobs because they're not that hard. Okay? Okay, so that's Rubio. His close was canned. Canned close about, I'm grateful to America, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. Nothing special there. Okay, on the other side, Ben Carson, getting close to the end. Ben Carson. Okay. Oh, God. He talked about his tax plan, which was sort of based on a tithing or 10%, but really it's 15%, eliminating everything else as a flat tax. Didn't really get into it. They asked some questions about medical costs, and yes, some companies were maybe gouging, should be taken to court or whatever. But he didn't get a lot of time, honestly. Ben Carson didn't seem to have gotten a lot of time. Now his close, it was a little bit slow. Very slow, almost retarded. I'm sorry, Ben. I have a lot of respect for you. I think as I've seen you mature, it's only been a few weeks, a couple of months, but you really are getting better on the game, and I really appreciate that. I really respect that. So that's good. But you've got some just ticks, and I know you're a relaxed person. You used to be a violent kid, but if you watch the close, he starts out and it's very much like a retarded, or like, life is like a box of chocolates. He starts out and it wasn't a strong punch. Like on the first debate, you had a BAM, right? I'm the only one on this stage who separated Siamese twins and brain damage stuff. That was a great first one. Too bad you didn't just repeat that. It probably would have been fine. Now, finally, we're getting to Donald Trump. They try to beat him up. Again, he is the front runner. Talking about the 4 times that he declared his companies filed for bankruptcy, right? Mostly his casinos in Atlantic City. Listen, if you've been to Vegas, if you've been to Atlantic City, there's a huge difference, okay? Both of them collapsed during the recession, but Atlantic City just never came back. And it's partly because a lot of gambling has been approved in other states where those people might have come to Atlantic City. But Atlantic City was always a shitty place to go. I don't give a crap what anybody says. Trump had to protect himself with the chapter laws. Listen, think about it. What was he supposed to do? What was he supposed to do? Not file for bankruptcy, right? Protection. Chapter 11 is restructuring, right? Chapter 13 is dissolvement. So he filed Chapter 11 for restructuring of the company, restructuring the debt. I mean, maybe he got better terms. Maybe the bondholders took a little bit of a haircut. But the business stayed alive for a few more years. That means, thousands of people had work, thousands of people made money. The bondholders, these are hedge funds that invested the money. They know what they're doing. They know the risks. So anybody who is crying about stakeholders that lost a little bit of money or got a haircut, nobody should care about them, because that's business, man. I've been screwed over by these guys that filed bankruptcy, didn't pay me. I was a contractor. I know what it feels like. But what was he supposed to do? The company's going bankrupt anyways. They're going out of business. You're not going to get paid anyway. So you got to do what you got to do. And everyone is pretty much bankrupt in Atlantic City now. He talked about the super PACs. Donald Trump talked about super PACs being, an abuse. And what else? He had a pretty strong close. Where he closed with, getting things done, right? We don't win anything anymore. Back on that theme, and that he and Ben Carson told CNBC we're not going to do a 3.5 hour debate, because CNBC stood to gain lots of money, right? Their rates for advertisement went up like 10 times. And of course, the moderator said it was always going to be a 2 hour debate, which is a goddamn lie. We know it's a damn lie. So that's my thoughts on the debate. Overall, it was a lot more, let's say, serious, a lot less infighting, a lot more constructive. CNBC being a business channel, the questions were, in general, a lot better. But there still was a lot, a few of these, trying to start a fight, trying to start some infighting. But the candidates this time did not go for it, did not fall for it. And they all acquitted themselves very well. And I think, I want to say pretty much anybody on that stage would be better than Hillary Clinton. Certainly everyone on that stage is better than Bernie Sanders. It's just a question of who is going to come out on top. Trump still, in general, is on top. And I want to mention about the latest sort of polls that say that Ben Carson is now beating Donald Trump in Iowa. Thing about Iowa is it is the first primary state for GOP, but who won that? 8 years ago? Huckabee won that, and he lost, right? Who won that 4 years ago? Former Pennsylvania governor or senator
Rick Santorum.
He won that, and he lost. So Iowa, while it is important, it's not that important for the GOP sweepstakes. And if Donald Trump loses Iowa, who cares? He probably will win New Hampshire, and he'll win South Carolina. And after that, the momentum is there. There's pretty much nobody who could beat him. Hey, I'm Holy Joe Rock and Roll. This has been In the News and my recap of the third GOP debate. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, your comments down below. And please subscribe. We're going to keep this going. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care now.
For watching In the News, a feature of HJRR TV and presented by the Reverend Dr. Holy Joe Rock and Roll. Please rate us, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to this channel for more In the News.